Welcome to More Details, Please, with your hosts Emmanuel and Angela Williams, where we dive deeper into conversations with visionary entrepreneurs to discover what it takes to turn passion into purpose. Listen to real-world stories from self-starters and trailblazers, and discover strategies and innovations shaping a greener future. Whether you are a seasoned business person or just starting out, let this be your go-to resource for inspiration and actionable tips for success. Join us now as we create a brighter, greener future together.
Welcome to More Details, Please. I'm Angela Williams.
And Emmanuel Williams.
We want to help you get the most out of your entrepreneur journey and build a business with purpose. And today we're going to be talking about innovation, and innovation needs a human touch. Right, Emmanuel?
Absolutely. Entrepreneurship is a very important, I believe, tool that can be used to create so much good in the world, help so many people, and connect with so many people. And our podcast is really all about that. Our podcast is really all about entrepreneurs tapping into their purpose with great intentions to make a difference. And in the entrepreneur world, we are always challenged. We're always trying to overcome. And that's what makes us special. And as the result of our 30 years of entrepreneurship, we come here to help and talk with entrepreneurs, help turn their passion into purpose and help them along their journey.
Yeah, so we're excited today because we're going to welcome our guest, Rebecca Gomez, who owns a mental health practice called Psychological Insights. Rebecca is going to share some wonderful insights of what she's doing as it relates to innovation and that human touch. So we really look forward to Rebecca later in the show. But now let's dive right into the details. So technology is great. It's great for scale, it's great for data, but human judgment is what keeps innovation purposeful. So ethical and grounded in the real needs. Technology is great at speed, scale, and data, but the human judgment is what keeps innovation purposeful, ethical, and grounded in real needs. Right, Emmanuel?
Yes, innovation is a wonderful vibration, if you will. And when I thought about innovation, because our business was built on a lot of innovation and we're constantly innovating. But when I started to think about the root cause of innovation, I started to think about it from a psychological perspective. And we're going to get more deep into this as our guests come on. But innovation was interesting. My take on innovation is um, as humans, fear has become a part of us, our ability to innovate. And fear is also an inhibitor of our ability to innovate. And fear, in breaking it down, is primordial fear, and that is our natural instinct to survive. And in our natural instinct to survive, we're not thinking. We're in the present moment. And we have been able to build and do so many things based on our primordial fear and how it takes us over and makes us present, and that creativity starts to flow through. So as we started to evolve as human beings and our ability to survive, that was the source of creativity. But creativity came from a space of presence. So that's on one side. The other side is the psychological fear, the fear of the pain of the past and the fear of the future. And a lot of time that can stop us from pursuing innovation. So when we talk about innovation here at Detail Expert, because we always want more detail, please. We always want to go deeper into the psyche. I want to use this as a platform in our foundation to springboard and talk about innovation.
Yeah, so technology can help us work smarter, but to reach more people, we realize we cannot replace human judgment. We can't replace empathy, and we definitely can't replace the attention to detail that's necessary. That only the love of detail is what we focus on here at this podcast. More details, please. Technology can help us work smarter and reach more people, but it can't replace human judgment, empathy, or attention to detail. We love attention to detail on this podcast and in our business. So, innovation gives us new tools, but it's the people that bring them to life. And that's what we want to talk about.
Well, let's talk about innovation because let's try to figure out what is innovation? What is the definition of innovation? To me, innovation is the ability to create something that can serve other people and improve something that has already existed. And our ability to make things better, to look at certain things and make things better for the good, is what create innovation is. And innovation comes from a field of creativity. Creativity, it is a part of us. It is a field, a vibration that is a part of us that we can become familiar with, that we can connect to. And it is a part of who we are. And our ability to tap into that creativity, to be innovative, it is a pivotal part of our ability to improve the things and lives around us, because that's who we are. We are creators by nature. And so innovation is a very important thing, especially when it comes to entrepreneurs.
So, we know that most organizations use technology to move faster or to do more. But the real challenge is asking, how do we innovate in ways that strengthen human connection instead of losing it? So, technology can help us know what's possible. It can even show us what's possible, but people bring the passion and a purpose that turns ideas into meaningful change. Right, Emmanuel?
Yes. And a lot of times when people hear innovation, they think it's got to be something that is very intellectual or very just kind of an inventor far out. But innovation is very simple. And I think the simplicity of creating innovation is the genius of innovation. You know, one of my favorite persons that I study a lot is Einstein. And Einstein says that a lot of scientists is not creative, not because they don't know how to think, but it's because they don't know they don't know how to stop thinking. And he also says that in his greatest discoveries, it didn't come when he was thinking, it came when he was not thinking. So innovation and creativity is very important. And I give you an example of a part of innovation that changed the world. Simply the wheel. Now just think about it. Back in time when they didn't have wheels and they had to carry bricks and stones and animals or whatever it is that they were trying to survive on, they had to carry it on their shoulder. But somebody came up and said, let's create some wheels. So that right there in itself changed a big deal of how people in society live. Another, I would say, innovation idea that helped change the world was the knife. You know, your ability to cut and your ability to cut trees and animals and things of that nature. So when we talk about innovation, please just think about it in a way where the simplicity of innovation is the geniusness of innovation. And in order to have that simplicity, geniusness, you have to be able to think, have the mind of a child.
For us, balance means letting technology support people without letting it replace the conversations, judgment, and care that build trust. And so that's why innovation needs the human touch. So let's talk about how human impact actually shapes innovation in practice.
Well, I would say that human innovation in practice has a lot to do with the innovation that is being created creates a community where people can participate. It creates a community where people can get involved. It creates a community where people can tap into their creative ideas. And so one of the examples of that is you look at Henry Ford. Henry Ford came up with a innovative idea, but he was able to use it in a way where he changed the world by also getting other people involved and getting the community involved to help improve the innovation so that it can continue to serve its purpose.
Yeah, so technology can process information faster, but it doesn't understand real needs without our help. So people are the ones that who can spot the real pain points, challenges, needs, and innovation. So as Emmanuel said, it's about community or co-creating together. That's how we define the problem to begin with that we're going to innovate about. Without this human insight, we might end up solving the wrong problem or creating something impressive that no one actually needs. This is not a case of building they will come. We really want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to participate because you're asking not just why, but why not? That's where leadership plays a key role. People use their experience and industry know how to see if the idea really fits the company's mission, vision, and business model. So, human input also keeps innovation rooted in ethics and responsibility. Right, Emmanuel?
Yes, and that gets to your intentions, which is very important because innovation can be a two-edged sword. It can work out for the good or it can work out for the negative. And one of the challenges that Einstein was dealing with in the process of the innovation of the atomic bomb is the fact that he realized that if anybody that didn't have ethical and didn't have a sense of presence and awareness of what they was dealing with, it can literally destroy the world. So in innovation, your intentions has to be in alignment with nature because you can have good intentions and for innovation and it can destroy nature. And so that's why I believe that people who are innovative has to not only be an innovative person that can innovate and creative, but they also have to have a sense of maturity. They also have to have a sense of presence and humanity so that they can continue to innovate in alignment with the greater good to help society continue to evolve.
Yeah, when innovation begins with the real human needs and ends with thoughtful human involvement, the results are more meaningful, trusted, and lasting. So, practical ways that you can shape innovation. Number one, listen closely to people's needs and the frustration that they're trying to solve for. What is the problem that you're solving for? Use your industry knowledge to think long term to decide what ideas are worth pursuing. Ask if innovation matches your company's values and goals. Dig into what the data is really telling you and focus on finding a unique and creative solution to these problems. Those are five practical ways to shape innovation. Even when innovation comes from a good place, change can still feel overwhelming. There are new tools, new systems, new expectations, and it could be a lot for people, even for me.
Absolutely. We have to be careful about our ability to connect to that creativity because that is a part of our destiny. That is why we are here. We are here to be creative. We are here to serve other people. We are here to make sure that we can live a good, comfortable life as we evolve, as we are part of this evolution of life, which is a consciousness that is constantly evolving. And so, yes, innovation is very important. Innovation is a key factor in society evolving, and we play a critical role in connecting to that creativity, that innovation through connecting to our creative side to help make the world a better place.
So that's when leadership really matters. It's not only about bringing in something new, but also helping people through the change. So change management is important. So when leaders take their time, communicate clearly, listen, people feel more secure instead of rushed or forgotten. I can remember so many times in my career where change management came into play. If it was a new system or a new process, if there was not enough communication, managing change became very difficult. So even doing a day to day task became hard because there was this new injection of innovation. In our case, it was a new software. And for that reason, people just resisted it. It wasn't fun at all. In some cases, we had to go back to the drawing board. In other cases, we just frustrated people so much that they left.
Yeah, and I just love to see kids and how they are so innovative. It's like them having the ability to play and to run and climb trees. I mean, this is a part of their natural instinct to be innovation and to be creative. I mean, when you look at the animal kingdom and you look at the lions and the cubs and you look at the little cubs playing, they're really mimicking their parents. And they're creatively developing and preparing themselves to be able to protect themselves and survive as they get older. I mean, they playing with their siblings, their little siblings, and they're hunting and they're mimicking. And this, when we talk about innovation, a lot of times we think about it as something that's really serious and that everything got to be under a microscope and you have to have all of these intellectuals standing around trying to figure it out. But it's not that serious.
Feeling supported helps people feel safe. And when people feel safe, they're more open, creative, and ready to adapt. That's why the human side of innovation is just as important as the tools we use. Which brings us nicely to our special guest, Rebecca Gomez, someone who understands the psychology behind human connection better than most. Welcome, Rebecca. We're so happy to have you. So, Rebecca is the owner of Psychological Insights, a mental health practice dedicated to breaking down barriers to care and supporting individuals and families on their emotional wellness journey. Rebecca, you're passionate about providing innovative mental health solutions that help people thrive no matter their background is exceptional. Tell us more about Psychological Insights and your client centered approach.
Yeah, so I started Psychological Insights because I wanted to break down barriers. I wanted more accessibility, more personalization when it comes to therapy, psychological assessments. And I think as a field, we're growing in that we're integrating culturally responsive care, as well as other aspects of wellness like nutrition and exercise. And so that's one of the main reasons that I started my business. So even for something as simple as virtual care, allowing for like digital platforms, I think that really can break down barriers for people who might not have sought help otherwise because of geography, stigma, their busy schedules, whatever it might be.
Yeah, what's great is you're giving people a choice. So in person or virtual, I
Mhm.
mean, you're blending innovation with compassion. That's major.
And I think a choice is exactly where it has to be, when it comes to using any sort of technology or anything like that. It's so important that we're working at the comfort level and needs of our clients.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm sorry, Maya.
well, Rebecca, I just want to say thank you for the work that you're doing because I think in the times that we're living in is really critically needed. Because what I see that you're doing is getting to the root cause of the problem from a holistic perspective and creatively creating tools and opportunities for the patient to participate in their own development and health, or as opposed to just taking a pill, or as
Mhm.
opposed to, just going to do something that a pill can do. You're actually allowing that patient to participate creatively in a way that is healing themselves.
Thank you, and I think that that's, a big part of our goals here. We want our clients to feel secure. We want them to feel valued throughout the process.
Yes, because sometimes innovation comes with the pressure of moving fast.
It
Oh.
does. Yes.
So you have to balance that.
Yeah, you have to you really, I think if we try to move too fast, we're undermining that trust and safety that should be inherent in the therapy relationship. So it's always important, absolutely, to kind of go at the pace, gather feedback, go at the pace of our clients when it comes to that. We want them to know what to expect and have a choice. It's not it's not a this is the only way. There there has to be a choice in order for our clients to feel comfortable.
Yeah, as mental health care continues to evolve, what changes or ideas genuinely excite you right now?
I would say my accessibility is one of the things that excites me the most right now. Um, for me, working in the mental health field as a Mexican American female, the stigma that can come with seeking therapy, um, that is a barrier that I think just needs to be broken down, and for many people of color. And so, uh, for me, I think a lot of the platforms that we use now are very purposeful about making sure we're giving clients a therapist who's a good match for them. And we can do that by having our information available, making it clear who we work well with, making it clear whether or not we're a safe space for certain individuals, right? And so a lot of times my clients come to me and they say, I found you online when I was looking for uh, a Spanish speaking or a Hispanic or Latinx individual who would be affirming in maybe my queerness or whatever it might be. And so that technology has just opened up so many doors to making sure that individuals who wouldn't seek that help initially get a chance to seek that help because they know what's available and they don't have to make millions of phone calls to someone who maybe doesn't speak their language. They can actually find the information easily.
Yeah, exactly. So when you're deciding whether to try something new, because there's always new stuff coming out, what helps you decide if it's worth bringing into your practice?
Um, I'm always thinking about it from the perspective of, does it enhance the services we're providing? Not does it replace? Because we have to have one of you a little bit earlier said that human touch, and I think that that's the foundation of mental health care. We have to have that empathy. We have to have the connection, the trust. So if we're going to be, rolling out new technology for for our clients, we have to be thinking about ways that it enhances the relationship. So if we're using virtual platforms, we still need to make sure that we're having that genuine conversation. We have to make sure we're still engaging them in that eye contact, that active listening. As humans, we're social beings. Even if you're as introverted as I am, that socialness is still just inherent to who we are. So I'm regularly checking in with my clients about how they're experiencing maybe a new change that we've made. I'm asking for feedback. We're making adjustments as needed. And again, it's always a choice for my clients. There's no one that is told you have to use this as part of your therapy treatment, because if they don't feel it enhances their treatment, then it's not helpful anymore. We need to only use what is actually enhancing, not replacing those personal relationships.
Yeah, it's so funny. Just recently, our doctor changed to Sigma MD. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's a wonderful platform, but it takes a little bit to get into the platform. So we went from being able to contact our doctor via text or just
Hmm.
give them a call to now you can still do the same, but through Sigma. But that little bit of change without a whole lot of prep, it's
Yes.
like, look, I need to get my prescription filled. What do I do? Do I just call them? It made it a little more frustrating, even though I know in the end the decision is going to be a good one. But that immediate change with
Hmm.
kinda, like, not enough opportunity for us to adjust to the technology, it strained our relationship with our healthcare provider, and I know
Yeah.
you that's the thing that you wanna avoid, right?
Absolutely. If we're introducing, a new innovation, a new way to connect, a new way to make sure that, we're getting the services made, we wanna make sure that it's empowering, not intimidating. We have to think about the client's comfort level with the technology we're using, and not just comfort level, but needs. Not everyone has access to, be able to use an app like that. Not everyone has the capacity to understand how to use certain pieces of technology. So it's just so important, I think, to invite questions, to address concerns that might come up. And honestly, sometimes I will demonstrate a tool together in session just so that my client can say, "Oh, now I understand it. Yes, I do wanna use it," or, "No, I don't." Right?
Yeah.
Just honestly, just respecting preferences and making it less intimidating seems to make all the difference, and I would say 99% of the clients that I see say once they see it used, once they understand it and understand the benefit and understand maybe, if it's feeling like a barrier, that they have an option to not use it. I think that's how people just feel supported along the way.
Definitely. It's funny because we talk about, and I'm gonna let Emmanuel jump in. We talk about innovation. It's not just technology, it's small changes too. So,
Absolutely.
have there been like other small changes that you've made that made a major difference in your clients that you serve?
Yeah, I would actually say, focusing on physical wellness has been, um, something that has been surprisingly useful for a lot of individuals. And I say surprisingly, but I'm really not that surprised because we know that our physical health impacts our mental health and vice versa, right? But when we kind of help clients see that connection between, you know, I know that if I start maybe eating healthier, exercising more, engaging with the people that I enjoy, engaging in activities that I enjoy, we know that'll impact how we're thinking about ourselves and the emotions we're experiencing. But it it's hard sometimes to make that connection for clients. And so and I think as a practice here, we've been doing a lot of focus on that, especially with some of the political climate. Just considering some individuals are kind of scared right now, and so we're talking about how is that impacting our bodies, how is that impacting even just our ability to pay attention to taking care of ourselves and doing the things that we need to do. So just integrating not just physical health, but also culture, belief systems, values, all of that, I think, is where I find the most forward movement, the most progress for a lot of my clients.
Well, Rebecca, in hearing you say that, and I was listening real close to what you were saying, and one of the words that kept standing out to me is a very innovative word that I think is the key to a big part of your success, and that is choice.
Yeah,
You keep saying, I want to give my patients the opportunity to be able to have a choice
absolutely.
because some people don't even believe they have a choice.
Yeah,
Some people don't even realize that there is another option.
absolutely.
And in those dark places, they do some dangerous things to themselves because they don't feel like they have a choice. They don't
Absolutely.
feel like they have options. So, as a therapist, it's so refreshing for me to be able to hear the human touch, the ability to choose, the options that you have, the trust that we're trying to develop, the connection, the human connection. And all of those things are the key, I believe, element in the healing process.
I agree. Yeah. Absolutely. One of the first things that I say to my clients, and I don't know, no one has reacted negatively to this, but one of the first things I always say is that we're going to focus on building our relationship first. And to me, and I think a lot of psychologists, a lot of therapists believe this as well. It's not always about the interventions. It's not always about a treatment plan. Those things are very important and absolutely should be a part of therapy. But it's about making sure that you feel comfortable with me so that you have a choice about what your treatment looks like. There's no other, in my opinion, there's just no other way to do it. There has to be choice.
What are some of the things that you've learned over time about change that you wish people understood as it relates to mental health care?
I've noticed that as a field, we do tend to try to move quickly when it comes to change. And that can be a really positive thing. We see a need and we say, "Hey, we can't let this keep going," you know? And that is very, very important. But when we're making a shift like this, we need people to have the time to understand it. It might be a fantastic shift that we're about to make, but people need the time to understand what the shift is, what need it is meeting, and why it is something that is so important. And that means inviting questions. That means inviting discord. It means if I think a shift needs to be made in my practice, I have to allow for my clinicians to tell me, this is what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid that this might hurt my clients in this way. They have to be allowed to disagree with me so that we can talk it through and figure out, one, maybe I'm way off base. But number two, a lot of times what happens in those conversations is my clinicians and even clients end up coming around and saying, now that I understand it fully, I understand the need that is being met. I feel as if we adjusted in a way that meets the concern that I had. We can move forward now. But it's a slow process. And so I think as a field and as human beings, we have to be willing to go slow. We have to be willing to talk it through and be willing to have people disagree with us and still have a civil conversation around it. I have to be open to being wrong and finding ways to still meet my clients' needs and my clinicians' needs, because it's not about me. It's about making sure we're rolling out something that's actually useful to people.
That was significant, that you have to admit and be okay with being wrong. Like you don't have all the answers. I mean, sometimes they think as entrepreneurs, we should have all the answers, but we don't. And it's nice that you can use that small thing by asking people, what do you think? And getting their opinion and feedback. And amazing, we can create something that's even better together, but
Absolutely.
not one side saying, hey, this is what we're going to do and this is why. And that's all, period.
And,
Exactly.
and you know, Rebecca, I had this checklist that I wrote out to say, what are the characteristics or the qualities that an innovator has? And you almost checked off all of those boxes.
I like that.
It was like generosity. It was being inclusive. It was thinking outside the box. It was being in touch with your ego. And it was a beginner's mind that is not, your mind is not so rigid that you're holding on to something that you don't want to change. So you kind of checked off all of those boxes in our creative toolbox that is required for a person to be able to innovate and create. So you
Thank
got an
you.
A for the day. You got
That means a lot to me. It does. Thank you.
All right, one last question for you. When you think about people, the people that you serve, so your clients, what does success really look like beyond the metrics or outcome?
In I've thought about this so much. This is one of those questions that is so hard to answer, and it's definitely individual for each client. But what I can say seems to be kind of an umbrella for me when we're talking about success is the idea of understanding your values and walking within those values. And everyone's values are going to be different. we might use the same words. We might say, it's very important to me to be kind, but kindness looks different for everyone. And so success to me is figuring out what is your value? What does it look like for you to actually enact that? And then what is it that you want to do to actually make sure you're living within your value system? And I have seen so much, and obviously there's a lot more to that, but sometimes if we go back to the basics of what's your values, are you living them? That just makes such a difference for some people to be able to say out loud, oh, this small change would allow me to live within my value system and feel a little bit better about who I am and what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Rebecca, I do have one more question
Yeah.
for you. And this is really interesting because in your psychological therapeutic um, systems that you have developed, pain is a part of something that people is running from because of
Yeah,
fear and pain, but it is an essential part of the healing process.
absolutely.
How do you get people to understand that in a way where they can realize that resistance is the key to growth? And sometimes we got to go through something in order to get to the other side to realize that we went through was required in order for us to be here right to this day. How do you
Yeah.
incorporate that in your therapeutic sessions with your clients?
I think avoidance of pain is often why people are coming to me, and they don't always realize that that's why they're coming to me, that's what was the impetus for them to reach out, right? They don't want to feel this pain anymore. And depending on the client and kind of where they are, I often end up in a conversation around I can't take the pain away. The pain is going to be there, but we have to learn how to maneuver through life with the pain that's there. And I can't point to one single individual that once we were able to understand that this is a part of life and there's ways that we have control and there's ways that we don't have control. Most individuals will find themselves saying, "Yeah, I just had to get through that. That was temporary." Or that wasn't as terrifying as I thought it was going to be. We build it up, especially pain. Emotional pain, I think, is something that as a society we sometimes ignore. And so when we ignore something, we end up making it bigger, scarier than it needs to be. I love using the analogy of, let's just say you two have a big purple elephant behind you, right? And you have to ignore it in order for us to get through this interview. But if I kept telling you, stop paying attention to the big purple elephant, please just stop paying attention to the big purple elephant. And you two are sitting there white knuckling it, trying to not think of the big purple elephant. The only thing you're going to be able to think about is the big purple elephant. You're not going to actually be able to talk to me and ask these really, insightful questions because you're focused on the big purple elephant. Instead, the two of you are really more focused on what is it? What are our goals here? What is it that we want to get out of the questions that we're asking and what are we trying to share with our audience? And so when we bring our focus to our values, our goals, that's when I'm not saying the big purple elephant goes away, but it carries less weight. It guides us a little bit less. And that's the same with pain. And I know that's a silly example and I've got other examples that are way deeper, but well, that's one of my
No,
favorites to use.
Thank you.
that was a great example because we can call the big purple elephant technology, like when
Absolutely.
technology is not exactly working like
Yes.
we expect it to. And it's like, oh, just ignore it. Just keep on, stay focused on what needs to happen and don't get distracted. I mean, because it happens every single day, like today.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things. But today's conversation shows that innovation is more than about systems and tools that we use that helps us work faster. It really means understanding people and their needs, feelings, and how we can handle change. And I am so glad you were able to share your experience in that, Rebecca, because I think your experience is very relatable to many others as well. So thank you for that.
Thank you for
So
having
whereas
me.
technology creates new opportunities, but empathy which is what you talked about, care and human judgment make innovation truly valuable. So to sum it up, technology shows us what's possible, but people give it purpose. And taking time to understand what people really need is what drives innovation. So we don't want to get caught up that innovation is the next shiny object or innovation is a new invention. Innovation is the small changes, but they're only possible when we focus on people. So we're creating something with people, co-creating versus for them. We're creating a solution that's going to work for them. So this was very thoughtful and an interesting conversation. And you've shown us that innovation can truly support how we care for others and how we lead. So reminding the world out there increasingly that tech leads the world, but it is our humanity that keeps everything meaningful. And we could never, ever forget that. So Rebecca, how can people get in touch with you?
So they can get in touch with me by going to my website, psychological-insights.net. You can also call our main office, 616-681-3955. There's a whole lot of ways to get a hold of us. So if you go to our website, you see that you can send us a message in our portal. You can call or text us. You're welcome to email us. Any way that you feel is most comfortable for you, you can get a hold of us.
Thank you for that. So thank you for tuning in to More Details, Please today. We'll be back soon with more conversations to help create, innovate, and lead with purpose. So until next time, take care and stay curious.
Thank you for listening to More Details, Please, presented by Emmanuel and Angela Williams from Detail Experts, the mobile steam cleaning company dedicated to protecting the planet. Be sure to subscribe to More Details, Please, on your favorite podcast platform. You can also follow us on Facebook at Detail Experts and visit detailexperts.net. That's DETAILXPERTS.net. We hope you've gained some valuable insights from our conversations today. Stay driven by curiosity, and we'll bring you more details next time.